Some heartbreaking news happened overnight as former Broncos receiver Demaryius Thomas has passed away at the age of 33. The former Pro Bowler was found dead in his home in Georgia where he was born and raised. The Broncos released a statement about the passing, mourning the loss of, quote, an incredible player and a special person. Shannon, what are your thoughts?
This one hit me a little differently because I had a very personal relationship with DT.
From dating to when?
2012.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I was, when they signed Peyton, I think I was out there either a day later or 2 days later. I was talking to him, Eric Decker, I forget the other receiver, and I think Julius Thomas.
Yep.
And I was telling them how their lives were about to change. And I said the expectations level now is going to ramp up because when Peyton comes, it's Super Bowl.
And obviously they were coming off the Tebow.
They were coming off the Tebow. The
Tebow way up a notch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Skip, he was a first-round draft pick.
He was. He was the first receiver taken in that Tebow draft ahead of Des Bryant.
Correct.
22nd to 24th.
He got an injury early in his career, and a lot of people thought he was going to be a bust, and that was concerning to him. And I said, look, your life is about to change. Just be ready. I said, you need to drop a few pounds and be ready to play football, be ready to play at a fast pace. And his life did change. He would take those jailbreak screens, smoke screens, and he'd hit his head on the goalpost. He was when you mentioned great receivers in his era, he was right there with Julio. He was right there with Dez Bryant, Julio, and DT.
Well, those first
AJ Green.
The first 4 years with Peyton, those numbers are up off the charts.
Off the charts, Skip.
Yep. Because they're up there with numbers put up only by Marvin Harrison and Torrey Holt and, of course, Jerry Rice over a four-year stretch.
Yes, that's how good he was. And Skip, and during that stretch, I would talk to him all the time, managing expectations, what the expectations were, how he needed to be, and don't always just look at the stat line. Find other ways that you can contribute, even though you're not catching 12, 13 passes in the game. And he was able to win that Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl 50. And he started to have some little nagging injuries as age started to set in, even though he was not an old man, passing at the age of 33. DT really, and talking to him, and I hadn't talked to him in a while, and we have a very mutual friend that said, Shannon, you need to reach out to DT. I said, well, what's going on? He's like, Shannon, he's not doing well. He said, I talked to him, and he says he's not doing well. And I said, okay, I'll talk to him. And then when I got this news last night, I remember I was sitting on my bed and I was just thinking, I had 2 months to reach out to him.
Yep.
2 months. And now I'm never going to get that opportunity. And I think that's what, besides his passing, is that I had an opportunity to ask DT, what's going on, bro? What can I do? Because he looked at me like I was a big brother. Because I was in Denver, the fans in Denver loved me. Having won there, trying to help him navigate Denver. It just happened so quick, Skip. It just happened so quick. And I just cannot believe that DT gone.
It sounds like, according to many of his friends and family, he was in a bad car wreck about a year ago.
He was.
And he started to have seizures.
He did.
Based on the injuries suffered in the car wreck.
Yeah.
And that they think, not sure, that a seizure got him this time.
Right.
Because one of his closest friends said he was in the shower and it looked like he had suffered a seizure in the shower.
Right.
So that was...
And they were telling me that, he had brought his family a lot closer because he didn't like being alone because the seizures were happening with greater regularity and with greater frequency and with greater tenacity. And so he was afraid of being alone. He didn't like being alone. And man, when I got this news, Skip, I saw it on Twitter and I said, man, people play too much. It's kind of like the Kobe situation, Skip. I'm like,
I did too. I thought, surely this is...
Right. And I'm like, man, people, you know what? People sometimes, they take stuff like this, too far. Man, I said, that's not real. And they're like, Shannon, did you hear? Did you hear? I'm like, nah. I said, you know what? I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to call somebody that knows that he and I both know.
Yep.
And he said, yeah.
Yep.
It's true. Man, it's heartbreaking, man. 33 years of age.
Heartbreaking was the optimum expression from all the ex-teammates on Twitter, many of them probably not as close to him as you were. But I continued to see and hear last night, great player, but an even better man and teammate. And that's the ultimate expression. That if something has to go on your tombstone, that's the essence of what should go on your tombstone. And if you look back at his life and times, his mom ended up going to prison when he was 10. He had to fight through that. Then he decides he's a great high school basketball and football player and a sprinter. He was a big, strong, tall sprinter who ran the 100-meter dash in high school at a high level. So he goes to Georgia Tech, grew up in the Atlanta area, obviously. And
West Lawrence High School, about 35, 40 minutes from Macon, south of Macon.
Okay. He goes to play for Chan Gailey, who you know very well.
He was my offensive coordinator when I first got to Denver.
So he goes to Georgia Tech to play for him because they're going to throw the football. And then a year in, he's out, and Paul Johnson comes in, and you know what they do? They just run it and run it and run it. They just wishbone you to death, triple option you to death. And all of a sudden, Demaryius is stuck in a system
that doesn't fit what he does.
No, you're not going to get that many opportunities. But it didn't stop him because when he began to test after his last year there, combine and all the workouts, he's off the charts, man. And John Elway and company, they just said, got to get him, right? And so they take him, the first receiver in the draft at 22. And as I said, then Dez goes 24 and Tebow goes 25th. And what is the all-time signature play? What is the most electric moment I've ever experienced in the postseason?
The fastest OT.
It was the fastest overtime finish in the history. It still is. In the history of pro football, if we could please see it, is Tebow against the Pittsburgh Steelers in overtime. Boom. Right on the button, and guess who's off to the races? Number 88. And does he not wear 88 well?
He does.
It looks good on him. And that was as shocking a moment as I have ever witnessed. And the rules had changed, but I wasn't sure for a second what the rules were. Does that mean it's over?
Yeah, it's over.
It was over. Whoa. So that became...
If I'm not mistaken, Skip, that might have been the first one where you needed a touchdown and not the field goal
to win the game. You needed the touchdown. They had just changed. So it took me a second to compute. Wait a second. They don't get the ball back? Nope, they don't get the ball back. And so that became a signature for him, but he made 5 Pro Bowls.
He did.
And then he had those 4 great years with Peyton, and he became, I know it's hard to know, to project out, but I think he's got a good shot to be a Hall of Fame receiver.
Well, he would have been had he had Peyton probably 3 or 4 more years.
Maybe.
But then he had Trevor Siemian, he had some other guys. And then the Broncos were he started having some nagging injuries, and he wasn't that productive receiver. And myself, DT, and Rod, we used to joke all the time. Well, who's the best receiver? He's like, I'm taking all you guys' record down. I'm taking all your record. And we're like, nah, you're still not gonna be us. And he like, I'm missing what you guys have, which is the Super Bowls. My number is going to be like yours. I just need to get that Super Bowl. Man, Skip, and we got invited back. The Broncos asked myself, asked Rod, I think Alfred Williams. I think we were the 3 guys of the former Super Bowl teams that came back, and we helped present the guys with their rings. So we were there for the ceremonies, and just to see the adulation on their face, to see Peyton and to see the Von Millers and DT. Man, I was just hugging D. Said, bro, I'm happy for you. I said, you did it. You told me you were going to get you one. And so you got one. So now you're in the club with myself and Rod, the great receivers that were here at the Broncos. But Skip, I just can't believe it. I mean, it does. I remember I was laying down last night and I'm thinking, 33? 33.
34 on Christmas Day.
I said, come on, DT. And, man, it's just gone too soon, man.
And yet, bottom line to this was back on September 26th, he did get to go back to Denver, and they honored him on that Sunday. So at least he did get to experience that.
And he's gonna be a Ring of Famer. He's gonna go down as an all-time Bronco, all-time great, and deservingly so. He put the time in, he put the work in. I'm proud of the player that he became. I'm proud of the man that he became. And it's just, Bronco country, we're all heartbroken by this. To his family, his friends, everybody that knew him, our thoughts and prayers go out to you.
God rest his soul.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.